Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy but lovely world we're living in. So it's lovely in many ways. Lots of good things do happen. We must talk about those more often. But for those of you who don't know me, my name's Vicki Marie. I talk about true crime mainly, but occasionally other things. And what I'm going to talk about in this video is this absolutely just beautiful girl, 9 years old, Melodee Buzzard, who very sadly just before Christmas, and I haven't reported on this crime because it has been the Christmas period, but as soon as I could, I want to tell you about this little girl. I want to go into a little bit of a deep dive about this little girl. We don't know the full circumstances yet, but what we do know is that just before Christmas or early in December, I think, this girl's remains were actually found, where it was confirmed just before Christmas that the worst thing that we all imagined had happened, and this girl was found deceased from gunshot wounds. Not only that, almost like an assassination, gunshot wounds to the head. And just as you think it can't get any worse, and I've got to give you a trigger warning, pardon the pun here, because this is truly the most unimaginable crime that you can think of, because the alleged perpetrator, the person who's been arrested for the murder of this beautiful little girl, look at that hair, is none other than her own mother, Ashlee Buzzard, or thought to be her, allegedly, because obviously she's not at a trial yet. We've got to respect that, I suppose. So not only it's just awful that anybody could kill a little girl like this, smiley face, an innocent little girl. Now we're finding out that it is, and it was always suspected that it would be her mother. Now, let me just show you more pictures of Ashlee, because she deserves, not Ashlee, of Melodee, because she deserves to be seen, remembered for the real person that she was, 9-year-old girl, at the mercy of her mother. You know, and most of us rely on our parents to protect us, don't we? Protect us from harm. Poor Melodee, she didn't have that kind of mother, unfortunately. And she was missing for quite a while before she was finally found. And not by the police. I'm not saying the police weren't trying to find her. They were trying to find her. But, you know, it's like a needle in a haystack, isn't it? Looking for remains. But found completely by accident by a couple that were taking photos. And even worse, if it can be, that it was her own mother who did it, she abandoned her like trash in the middle of nowhere. Just how could you walk away from her child's body and just leave her there? I mean, it really is. As far now, I haven't covered this case before because, well, there's two reasons. One, that I don't like covering cases about children. It seems like there's so many cases of missing children or children that found deceased, etc. It's very traumatic for me and for you, I imagine. I just don't like talking about those cases. Having said that, there's another part of me that thinks, well, if we don't talk about these people, who will? But the other reason in Melodee's case is, I can honestly say, ever since the beginning of this, when she went missing, that because of the circumstances of this case, I knew her mother was erratic and, you know, took drugs and this, that and the other. But I honestly, probably in my own innocence, because you cannot believe that a mother would do this to her child. I genuinely, honestly thought Melodee would be found alive. I thought her mother had maybe trafficked her out to someone, which is bad enough, but at least, she wasn't dead or sold her to someone, or I don't know. I can honestly say, I didn't do a deep dive into this case, but what I did say, I thought, I think hopefully, she's given Melodee away, maybe even left her with a relative, not even, in a nefarious way. I was really quite shocked, and I think other people were as well. I think most of us hoped, even maybe it was just a hope that we had. We just hoped that this girl would be found. It hadn't gone past the point of thinking that she would be found alive. And I was watching a detective talking on one of these podcasts. I've watched a lot of podcasts now about Melodee. And he was saying that with children's cases, the longer it goes, the less likely you're going to find them alive. It does happen sometimes, doesn't it? Occasionally. But poor Melodee. Just awful what's happened to this girl. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to do a few things in this video, because you may not be familiar with this case unless, maybe you follow other true crimers and they will have talked about it. If you only follow me, I doubt if you only follow me, but if I'm the most person that you follow to get your updates about crime, maybe you don't know about this case. So I'm going to start with what the police, I'm going to read out the law enforcement statement, if you like, that they've put out. Now, as I say, Melodee's body actually was found beginning of December. And I should say where these things happen. So this is Utah. And it's the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office that have been dealing with it. So I'm going to read out the statement that they put out. So she was found in the early part of December, or shall we say some remains were found. So it's taken time to confirm. The police have not said anything until it had been confirmed that it was Melodee, which I don't blame them, to be honest. And so now Ashlee has been arrested. Now, she had been arrested before because she's done some crazy things. She held someone at gunpoint. And now, God, they must be realizing just how lucky they are to be still alive, because if she would kill her own daughter, shoot her in the head, which is thought to be what she did, multiple times, at least twice anyway, she wouldn't be above shooting somebody else, would she? But of course it was probably too close to home, because she supposedly held them prisoner, and maybe it would have just been too easily sort of identified because it was too close to home. She took Melodee to a remote place to commit this crime. Oh, the other thing I just want to say, look at how she spells her name. Ashlee Buzzard. Now, was she born as Ashlee with a double E, or is she one of those pretentious pricks who decides to change the spelling of their name because it's not special enough for them? Was she a normal Ashlee with the Leigh, and she changed it to Ashlee? And then, of course, when she had her daughter, she called her Melodee. I hate these kind of people. Honestly, it's just like so pretentious. Poor Melodee. I mean, Melodee is a beautiful name. You don't have to mess around with the spelling of it. And it just seems ironic to me that she's changed the spelling, it appears. Or maybe she was born, she was named Ashlee, I don't know. But then she's named her daughter after her. And then, there's a nod to her in that, isn't there? Melodee and Ashlee. There's a nod to her mother there. And then she murdered her. just breathtaking narcissism. So, yeah, Ashlee Buzzard arrested for murder of her daughter Melodee following the discovery of her remains in Utah. So the Santa Barbara County Sheriff Bill Brown announced today, and this was the 23rd of December, so literally just before Christmas, they announced this, that the remains of Melodee Ilani Buzzard, a 9 years old, let that sink in for a minute, a 9-year-old girl, reported missing from the Lompoc area in October 2025, so she's been missing for 2 months, has been located in a rural area outside of Caneville, Utah, and that her mother, Ashlee Lynn Buzzard, has been arrested for a murder. Her mother, oh my God. So I think it's important to recognise, and I will do a video about this, it's rare. Filicide, which is the murder of a child, is rare in general, luckily. But when it does happen, it's even rarer for it to be the mother who does it anyway. And there are various reasons why it happens. And we'll look into that in another video. So on December the 23rd, 2025, at approximately 7:51 a.m., members of the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, served search and warrant arrests at the Buzzard residence in Lompoc. Ashlee Buzzard, and we've got some footage of that, was taken into custody without incident and booked at the Santa Barbara County Northern Branch Jail for first-degree murder. She is currently being held without bail. Oh, she won't get bail. And this could be the death penalty. Let's hope so. Honestly, I'm not even in favour of the death penalty. But when a mother takes her 9-year-old daughter and assassinates her by the side of the road and then just drives off and leaves her there as if she was rubbish, I think if anything is deserving of the death penalty, it's got to be that. This is an extraordinarily tragic case involving the murder of a child by the very person she relied upon and trusted the most. While maternal filicide is rare and difficult to comprehend, the evidence in this case clearly indicates a calculated, deliberate and ruthless act. Now, this is what the police say. So they are, they do law enforcement do this bit of self-aggrandizement, don't they? To say how hard they tried. And I'm sure they did try hard to find Melodee, but ultimately it wasn't them who found Melodee, as quite often happens. Be a dog walker. In this case, it was people stopping by the side of the road to take pictures. Could be hikers, so at the end of the day, but often it is law enforcement as well. Often it is law enforcement that find the remains of people, but not in this case. From the moment Melodee Buzzard was reported missing, sheriff's detectives pursued every investigative lead with urgency, discipline and compassion. Detectives worked simultaneously on multiple fronts, including continuous tracking of Ashlee Buzzard's movements, while other investigators focused on the exhaustive collection and analysis of physical, digital and forensic evidence. Throughout the investigation, detectives encountered deliberate efforts to prevent them from locating Melodee and uncovering the truth. Despite these obstacles, investigators remained methodical, relentless, relying on evidence when cooperation was withheld and overcoming barriers placed in their path. Their unwavering commitment ultimately led to today's arrest. And although it wasn't them that actually found Melodee's remains, all the other investigations that they've done did lead to the actual arrest. So they've been able to arrest Ashlee, because of the investigations that they've made. So we've got a timeline here, which is always useful, isn't it? An official timeline. So October the 14th, 2025, a school administrator reported Melodee's prolonged absence. Deputies responded to the family's residence in the 500 block of Mars Avenue in Lompoc and contacted her mother, Ashlee Buzzard, who provided no verifiable explanation for Melodee's whereabouts. You know, this reminds me a little bit of the bloody, I can't even remember her name now, probably better, the doomsday cult mum, Laurie Vallow. That's it, Laurie Vallow, who, you know, in the end, the police said, look, you've got so long to produce your children. You know, poor JJ had gone missing and his sister, and she was just not talking about it. She'd gone off to bloody Hawaii with Chad Daybell, you know, real prize he is, to get married on the beach and dancing on the beach, telling everyone they didn't have any children, while meantime, Tylee and JJ are missing. So she's a bit like that, isn't she? Anyway, on October the 15th, they served a search warrant at the Mars Avenue residence, and they learned that Ashlee had recently rented a vehicle. And this was a strange thing. She rented a vehicle, and surveillance images showed her and Melodee at the rental office wearing wigs. Both of them wearing wigs, apparently to conceal their identities. And these images were publicly released on October the 22nd. Well, I don't know about you, but I've never taken my child on a road trip and put them in a wig. I mean, it's ridiculous. Are you just like, you know, it's obviously to cover up something, isn't it? Let's just have a look, actually, because we can see a picture here. So here is poor little Melodee in the wig, but of course she's got the hoodie up. Look, there's bloody Twonk. She's definitely going in the Twonk Hall of Fame. She was a late entry for Twonk of the Year. Oh, God, just what a horrible, horrible woman. Just, honestly, you feel like you could almost do something to her yourself because of what she's done to this little girl. This little girl, 9 years old. Look at her little face. How could she do it? How could she do it? And you know what? You know, they're going to say drugs, aren't they, probably, or drink, or they're going to say mental illness. There's people out there dealing with all those things, and they don't take their child to the side of the road and shoot them in the head. I'm surprised she didn't come up with, and well, she may do yet, come up with some story. You know, probably a black person who did it. That's what they normally say, isn't it? Oh, some black man tried to, you know, kidnap my child. So I wonder if she'll come up with that story in the end. What story is she going to come up with? Anyway, on October the 24th, detectives released a detailed travel timeline documenting a multi-state round-trip travel route. So she went all over the place. California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Wyoming, Nebraska, with a return route including Kansas, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and California. And investigators learned that she switched license plates, she backed into gas stations to avoid surveillance cameras. So she's one of those thickos who think she's clever, not realising that, you know, the police aren't stupid. What did she think by wearing that wig and doing these other things that nobody would ever know where she'd been? Because she thinks the police are that stupid, because actually she's that stupid. I hate this woman already. So Melodee was last seen on video with Ashlee on October the 9th near the Colorado-Utah border, and investigators now believe Melodee was murdered shortly after that point. Imagine having that in your head as you're transporting your 9-year-old daughter across America. I mean, is she like a drug runner? Was she going off to meet a man? And did the man say, oh, you can't be doing with children? Because, of course, that happens, doesn't it? Often with a woman, a single parent, it'll be, you know, the child's getting in the way because, you know, some new beau doesn't want children. I think that's what happened with Diane Downs, wasn't it? You know, as I say, this is unusual for women to do this kind of thing, but when they do it, it's, you know, often for a new relationship and a child getting in their way. Anyway, on October the 30th, sheriff's detectives and the FBI evidence response team served additional search warrants at the Mars Avenue residence at a storage unit, and upon the rental vehicle, an expended cartridge case was recovered from the residence, and a live round of similar ammunition was located in the vehicle. And another thing that is very, very spooky, disgusting, scary about this whole thing, why did she take a cartridge that had been used? Because one of the cartridges discovered at the home was expended. At the scene of little Melodee's murder, they found a couple of expended cartridges, but did she really take one of those home? Was it like a trophy? I mean, why would she have an expended cartridge case in her home? Anyway, the cartridge case, she's a total bitch, isn't she? Absolute, you know, to do this to her own daughter. Anyway, the cartridge case was submitted to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives for entry into the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, a firearms-related evidence database. Then, so this is what we didn't know until December the 23rd. But on December the 6th, the Wayne County Sheriff's Office in Utah responded to a report of that a decomposed body had been discovered off the roadway near the 3300 block of East State Route 24 in a remote area of Wayne County. On December the 8th, Wayne County authorities notified the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office of the unidentified remains. So remember, these remains were found, of course, you know, due to, luckily now there's communication between states, etc., or between authorities. So it got linked anyway. The decedent was determined to be female and had died from gunshot wounds to the head. Now, don't forget, this girl had been missing at least since October the 14th. When was the last photo of her? October the 9th was the last time she was known to be alive, and she wasn't found till December the 6th, so she had been there a while. So it, you know, well, I don't want to put into graphic terms, but obviously there will have been decomposition, won't they? So the decedent was determined to be female and had died from gunshot wounds to the head. Assassination style. On December the 17th, cartridge cases recovered in Utah were compared by the ATFE and determined to be linked to the cartridge case recovered from the Mars Avenue residence. Then on December the 22nd, FBI Crime Lab analysis confirmed that these remains discovered in Utah were a familial DNA match to Ashlee Buzzard. Sad, isn't it? And on December the 23rd, Ashlee Lynn Buzzard was arrested for the murder of her daughter, Melodee Buzzard. So anyway, there they've got the timeline there. Talk about the partner agencies that they've worked for, which were a lot. Multiple jurisdictions. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, Explosives, California Department of Justice, Santa Barbara County District Attorney's Office, Santa Barbara County Child Welfare Services, Lompoc Unified School District, Santa Barbara County Search and Rescue, and multiple law enforcement agencies across Utah, Colorado, and Nebraska. Sheriff Brown said the loss of Melodee is heartbreaking. We hoped against hope that she would be found alive. This outcome is devastating. And, you know, I can imagine that. I mean, it's bad enough, you know, how I felt. And, you know, I'm not involved either in a law enforcement aspect or actually the rest of Melodee's family, like her grandma, etc. You know, I think everybody did think that although, you know, we weren't sure exactly what her safety might be because what had Ashlee done with her, I think there was a general feeling that she would be found alive. So the Sheriff's Office extended its deepest condolences to the Messer and Buzzard families and thanked members of the public and media nationwide for their engagement, tips and continued attention to the case. That's nice, because you know what it's like. So often the public, social media, etc., especially, you know, they get a bad press, don't they, from the police? But the police have solved this because of the public. A lot of cases are solved, if not just because of the public, as a combination. So the police were doing their investigations, and then this couple actually found poor Melodee's remains. So it's a combination. The investigation does not end here, Sheriff Brown said. We remain committed to working closely with prosecutors and to ensure justice is pursued with integrity, care and compassion. Melodee deserved a far better life, and she will never be forgotten. Because this case is now proceeding through the court system, additional details are limited at this time. So yeah, it'll all be about the court case now, getting it right for the court case. God, I hope this woman she either gets the maximum sentence in the sense of life without parole or even the death penalty. As I say, the death penalty is not something I normally agree with, but I'm really pushed to not agree with it in this case. Now, what I want to show you now, I've got the press conference when they found her. Let's have a look at the official press conference. Make sure it's sharing. Yeah. Poor little girl. Just a little smiling face. How could she shoot her in the head? How could she? Even if she wasn't her mother, how could you look at that child? Well, apparently it was in the back of the head, so she's probably turned. It's a bit like, you know, it'd be a bit like a look at the flowers moment. And if you've ever watched The Walking Dead, you'll understand that reference. this lovely little girl, little face, little smiling face, just disgusting. Yeah, probably got her to turn away because the person who did this, her own mother, she was, she's a complete twonk. She couldn't face what she was about to do. Absolute bitch. I want to say the word. I really want to swear, but I'm not going to.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Before we get underway, I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping things with you all. I do want to let you know that there are going to be two things that are going to be new on these slides here. One is a map, and the other one is an updated timeline. We will be sending that out after the press conference, so you'll have that information available for you. I also want to go over our list of speakers and kind of tell you who they are. You're going to hear today from Santa Barbara County Sheriff Bill Brown. You'll hear from Sheriff's Lieutenant Chris Gottschall, who leads the Criminal Investigation Division. And then you'll also hear from Special Agent in Charge Patrick Grandy from the Los Angeles.
Well, I've got to say, I love that. It's very organised, because quite often they'll say who's going to talk, but, you don't always remember when someone just says something. So she's got all that with Melodee's picture at the back as well. So often we see these press conferences, there's no photo of the victim. It's important to have a photo. They are the important thing. And then putting the names of the people that are going to speak, that's very helpful, very organised. Thank you for that.
Field office. Immediately following remarks, we will have a brief Q&A session. I do want to emphasize that this investigation remains ongoing, and so there are going to be, some pieces of information that we don't have available for release just yet. We did do a very, thorough job of trying to provide you with the most amount of information that we possibly could without compromising the investigation. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Sheriff Bill Brown.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here with us today. I am Santa Barbara County Sheriff Coroner Bill Brown, and today I am deeply saddened to report to you that the body of Melodee Buzzard, the 9-year-old child who went missing from the Lompoc area in October of this year, has been found in a rural area outside of Canesville in Wayne County, Utah. And that this morning at approximately 7:51 a.m., members of our sheriff's office and the FBI arrested her mother, Ashlee Buzzard, for her murder. Maternal filicide is rare and always difficult to comprehend, but this level of criminal activity is particularly shocking given the calculated, cold-blooded, and criminally sophisticated premeditation and heartlessness that went into planning it, and the ruthlessness that went into actually committing the crime.
Yeah, I mean, as much as it's always terrible, of course, for a mother to murder a child or a father, but if it was sort of in a moment of, a moment of madness or, I don't know. And another time that often filial homicide happens because almost often the parents, mother or the father or both of them, think, that life is so bloody miserable that it's like they're trying to do the kids a favor by taking them away from it. That's another reason why they do it. Sometimes they do it to deprive the other partner, the ex-partner, of course, normally. We saw that with the other candidate for Twonk of the Year, Travis Decker, murdered his three daughters just because his ex-wife didn't want to get back with him, because sometimes they do it just to make the other person's life a misery. So there's various reasons, but it's unusual, even more unusual, for this planning, calculation, assassin style murder, a bullet in the back of the head. Imagine her telling that girl to get out the car, and then what, how would she turn around and she's got the gun in her head. Apparently it all happened very quickly. They know from phone records. She wasn't there a long time, you know, so it's literally stop the car, get out, shoot her in the back of the head, get back in the car and drive off again. And apparently it was on the return, this long trip that she'd done. It was as she was on her way home. Very odd, isn't it? Why would she do that? Why would she do that? You know, my money's on probably, is there somebody she was interested in who wasn't interested in her if she had a child tagging along?
We have recovered a significant amount of evidence that clearly indicates that this heinous crime was committed by Ashlee Buzzard, Melodee's mother, and the very person upon who she relied upon and trusted the most in this world.
Terrible.
From the moment this case was reported, our detectives pursued every lead with determination, with urgency, and with compassion. Our investigators and those of our allied agencies worked simultaneously on multiple fronts, some maintaining around-the-clock surveillance of Ashlee Buzzard, while others focused on the painstaking collection, analysis, and verification of physical, digital, and forensic evidence. That sustained effort was critical in bringing this case to where it stands today. Throughout this investigation, our detectives faced deliberate efforts to prevent them from finding Melodee and uncovering the truth. Despite those attempts, their focus.
Yeah, she did not cooperate in any way. I think that's obviously a red flag in the beginning of all this. If you're a mother and your child's missing, you would cooperate in, and you're not responsible for it, you would cooperate in every single way you could, because all you would want would be for your child to be found. And of course, Ashlee never cooperated, and that would be the most massive red flag you could imagine.
Never wavered. They remained disciplined, methodical, and relentless in their pursuit of the facts. Whenever obstacles were placed in their path, they overcame them. When cooperation was withheld, they relied on the evidence. Their commitment did not falter, and their determination did not fade. They followed the facts wherever they led, and that ultimately is what brought clarity and resolution to this case. Now I'm going to go over a timeline of the major developments in this case. Before I do that, though, and before I walk through it, I want to thank in particular, and we'll go into some further detail of our allied agencies that helped us, but two in particular that I want to recognize at the start of this, and that is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which has been with us throughout the investigation and has helped us not only in our regional area, but also out of state. And
right, I'm going to leave it there because we've been through the timeline. I read the timeline out to you that they've got on their website. They're just really, it's more or less them, you know, patting each other on the shoulder, which is fine. So I don't know about, I think there was a reward out for information leading to the discovery of what had happened to Melodee. I'm not quite sure actually, but if there was, I hope those two people, in fact, because imagine how traumatic that would be as well. So they're just there taking some photos and they find a little girl's remains, and then since then they'll have found out who it was, how old she was. Very traumatic. I hope they got their reward. I hope they get, if there was a reward on offer, they deserve to get it. I hope they do. But yeah, I think from now on they just go through the timeline, they go through, you know, bigging each other up a little bit. There was a bit of a question and answer session at the end, but anyway, the whole press conference is out there if you want to watch it in full, but I don't really want to go through it in full because there's a lot of other things that I want to show you, that I want to talk about. So let's have a look at the video of her arrest. So we're going to News Nation. who are quite often. So this is Banfield, Ashlee Banfield, not Ashlee, you know, normal Ashlee, like ASH. Leigh. She hasn't changed her name like the pretentious Ashlee has. Anyway, let's watch this. Let's make sure it's sharing. Yep. And it will show you the arrest of this absolute beach.
News for all Americans.
Oh, right back to the beginning.
DNA analysis to identify Melodee. The DNA.
Oh, by the way, it's not Ashlee. Sorry, I forgot. Ashlee must have been having her Christmas break. It's another lady who I've got to be honest, I'm not sure who she is.
From the body matched Ashlee Buzzard's DNA. Then, through good old-fashioned police work, detectives matched gun cartridges from the crime scene to an expended cartridge in Ashlee Buzzard's house. But the actual murder weapon has not yet been found. This afternoon, Buzzard was booked into the Santa Barbara County Jail, where she's being held without bail. There's a lot more to how this case was solved and what's next in the legal process for the accused killer. Let's go first to News Nation's Nancy Liu, live outside the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department. Nancy, what's the latest on the ground there?
Yeah, Sarah, there is such a sense of sadness throughout this community because for months, people are holding out hope that Melodee Buzzard was out there alive, but
yeah, I think there were definitely hopes that she was out there somewhere.
Today came that tragic news that her body had been found in Utah, and this coming Christmas week, no less, adding to the tragedy. Sarah, we have obtained from a source of mine some exclusive video from inside of Ashlee Buzzard's house. We want to show that to you. And in watching this, I'm really taken by that little white chair, obviously Melodee's chair. This video was taken right after Ashlee Buzzard was arrested this morning. You can see how disheveled the house is. It's not clear if that's how she kept it or if that is from a law enforcement search after her arrest.
Oh, yeah, look at this little chair there. So, yeah, whether the house is a shithole, basically, it's a right mess. But as she says, that might be because of the police search of the house. So we don't know how it was before the police went in there.
But you see the couches upended there and the house in disarray. Also from a source, we obtained outside the house video of a prayer vigil that the family, some relatives and some acquaintances, they held right outside of the house following the arrest of Ashlee Buzzard. Relatives talking about how Melodee is now reunited with her late father in heaven. So just a horrible, tragic ending to the search for Melodee Buzzard, and just added.
Yeah, just to give some context there. So it seems like everything started going wrong here in this family, if you like. Ashlee Buzzard's partner, he died. Now, let's just have a look. So I'm not sure if he had drug issues as well. I need to check it. So poor little Melodee, she just had a tragic life, really. You know, what happened to... Let's see, it's not coming up. Let's try again. So once he died, then she really was at the mercy of this crazy mother of hers. It's not coming up. Oh, he died in a motorcycle accident. Melodee's father, Rubiel Meza, died in a motorcycle accident. How sad. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And his side of the family, I'll share this actually. Apparently, according to the Hindustani Times, Melodee's aunt Elizabeth claimed that Ashlee was extremely mentally unstable. Oh dear. How frustrating for the sort of the family of the father. Isn't it? Imagine, you know, so your loved one has died in a motorcycle accident. And so poor Melodee, look at her little face. Every time I look at her face, I honestly, I find it heartbreaking. She was left to the mercy of that horrible mother of hers, because the extended family, they just haven't got the same rights as the father. And the father had died in a motorcycle accident. Anyway, so sad. Poor Melodee.
Tragedy coming this week of Christmas, Sarah.
That's really what we all feared this would come down to. What else have you learned about the investigation?
Yeah, throughout the news conference, I was able to ask a few questions to the sheriff here, Bill Brown, and he used the words heinous, heartless, cold, and calculated in talking about what unfolded. And law enforcement, they laid out a very clear timeline of how things went down, going through that mysterious, spontaneous road trip that Ashlee Buzzard took Melodee on. But I was able to ask the sheriff, is Ashlee now being cooperative? We've heard about how uncooperative she's been throughout the investigation, throughout the search for Melodee. And the sheriff told me that Ashlee is still uncooperative. You know, she did not resist arrest. You can see she has her natural hair. She wasn't wearing any of her wigs when she was arrested this morning. But we know that Ashlee still not being cooperative. But Sarah, you mentioned good old-fashioned police work.
This is, to me, it's another case where social services, etc., if she was known to have mental health issues, how was she allowed to have that beautiful little girl? How was she allowed to keep her? You know, just like with Travis Decker, he wasn't allowed to have his girls for permanent custody, but he was, well, allowed to have them for a few hours. And his wife, or his ex-wife, she had told the courts he was unstable. She didn't want to send the girls off with him. Could you imagine how she would feel? She's had to send those girls off with a man that she knew is unstable. She's reported him as being unstable. And yet she had to let those girls go with him. And look what he did. You know, put bags over their heads, murdered them callously. This sounds to me a similar case. How has this BITCH been able to look after those kids? Disgusting.
Clear that multiple law enforcement agencies work together in building this case against Ashlee, and obviously a very lucky break, December 6th, with that couple finding the human remains in Wayne County, Utah.
You know,
Sarah?
Nancy, she was arrested.
Yeah, good job that they did find the remains.
Before for false imprisonment of that Tyler guy and the let go, and she was still uncooperative. So clearly arrests don't really muscle her into cooperation.
Nope.
Where is she tonight, and what's next for her? When do we get her arraigned in court?
Yeah, she is behind bars at the Santa Barbara County Jail. We know she'll remain there until she's arraigned. She's not in the court system yet. The sheriff today mentioned that she'll be facing first-degree murder, likely. But she's not in the court system yet. We don't see a court date for Ashlee Buzzard, but she is in the jail system, and we know that she will be in court shortly. So we don't know, because of the holiday schedule, whether that will happen.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app.
So now I want to show you this video. So this talks about that false imprisonment charge. So this guy should count himself lucky. This is somebody who knows her, called Tyler, who went round there apparently, and she wouldn't let him leave. And now what he knows now, that surely if he's thinking, God, she would put a bullet in her own child's head. He was lucky to get out alive. Anyway, let's have a look at it.
The victim in this case, the alleged victim, Tyler Brewer, he had told police that this woman had refused to let him leave her home after Ashlee Buzzard had shared some distressing information about little Melodee, the daughter. Information that apparently Ashlee wished she had not shared with him. He reported to police that Ashlee told him, quote, Melodee was dropped off in Utah, and even named the person. Apparently.
Yeah, so she says she was dropped off in Utah. So she's going to either say that somebody else, she gave Melodee to somebody else. But the thing is, then why has she got one of those cartridges in her home? Anyway, that's all going to come out. We can talk about that. That would all be speculation. The police right now, they've charged her with murder, so they think she did it. And they'll be concentrating and getting their case together, won't they? But she said she dropped Melodee off with somebody else,
with whom the child had been left. Today, Tyler Brewer took the witness stand and said that he visited Ashlee 5 different times between the 1st and 6th of November. That is 5 visits in 5 days. Again, bizarre. But he said on his final visit, that's when things went sideways. Ashlee's demeanor changed, he said. She turned confrontational, he said, and combative. And he said he felt threatened. And then it was Ashlee's turn to testify, but she didn't, not really. Instead, her attorney played a recording that apparently Ashlee had made herself of the final 3 minutes of this whole confrontation in question. And the 3 minutes, anyway, did not exactly match what Tyler Brewer had claimed to the police. So I'm going to play this all for you. It's a little, convoluted, a little confusing, but I think you should be able to get the gist of it. Listen for yourself.
And I can't trust you when you're lying. You're flat out lying. You're a really good liar. Like, Tyler. Tyler.
I'm definitely not
Tyler,
trying to
be quiet and listen, please. Look at me. Like, I'm an intelligent woman. I'm 40 years old.
Gosh, so she sounds so false, doesn't she? She's false. That's as false as F-U-C-K, what she's saying there. She's saying it deliberately because she knows it's being recorded.
Deal with legal stuff. Like, who are you kidding? Tyler.
I can only give you my perspective.
Listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
I understand.
And you need a reality check.
You need a reality check, Tyler.
If this is on media news, like news talk shows, they're going to be seeing you. They're going to be interested in you. You have to understand that. I'm aware whether you want to admit it.
Oh, my God. So bear in mind, this woman, at this point in time, when this recording's happening, she knew her beautiful 9-year-old daughter was dead because she'd shot her in the back of the head twice. Oh, my God. Oh.
Or not, you want the attention.
I don't want the attention.
There is absolutely no way in hell that you are not bipolar or have an extreme issue if you don't realize what you're doing is false advertisement. And there are real legal ramifications. I don't know how you honestly are not worried about being put in jail.
I will have to leave at this moment.
Since you're leaving in an uncomfortable way, I want the keys to my house
Yeah, they're right there.
and the storage.
Right there.
Nobody else has keys, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. No one else has keys.
I bet he was shitting himself.
Tyler,
Man.
genuinely, if you've been here, genuinely to help, I appreciate it. The lies are a lot. And especially if you are genuine and trying to help in your own way, you should be very concerned if they recognize you, because anyone else, like running for district, it doesn't add up. I'm not threatening you, but I'm saying, like, I'm not threatening you at all. I'm trying to help as a friend because I feel like it has to be bipolar or something.
Oh, whatever.
But I don't think you're grasping the level of
Madness.
online things that don't make sense.
Yeah, you're not grasping just how mental I am, that I've actually murdered my child. You're not grasping that. And I think Tyler was grasping it by now. He was probably thinking, how do I get out of here?
Well, I understand where you're coming from, that at this moment I will have to leave.
Yeah. You want
And I'm more than receptive if you want to call or text me.
How do I send you the money of the receipts?
I'm not concerned about any of that.
No, just
But
let me out.
I'm still very receptive. Should you want to call me or text me, but I've done nothing intentionally to be deceitful.
You just get the feeling there. The feeling I get, listen to that, is he's realised she is fucking Fruit Loop. Sorry, excuse my French. She is Fruit Loop, completely Fruit Loop. He's just thinking, oh my God, why did I come here? Let me get out of here. Scary.
I know that's a lot to process. And I know a lot of that doesn't make sense. But I will say this. There was something I heard in there several times. That guy said, I would like to leave now.
I would like to leave. Now, those charges, they've been dropped. So it's important to say those charges have been dropped. So maybe the police thought they've got enough, for the other things that are going on, hey, do you think? And they didn't need to make those charges. I don't know. I think we've got one more video to look at. And this is a video from early on. This is Court TV. It's a 10-minute video. We'll watch this and then I'm going to wrap this up. But, I think there'll be more to report on this. I'll be reporting on it as it continues now. Anyway, let's watch this.
Our partners at the FBI that have some really, great equipment, training, experienced people, all of those things, we're coming at this investigation with from every angle and with everything that we have access to.
We have not been able to locate the child as of yet.
Detectives in the ongoing search for missing at-risk child Melodee Buzzard are now sharing surveillance footage of the 9-year-old with her mom. Take a look at this. Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office releasing a portion of the video footage.
You just think, what was she saying to that child? All the time she's thinking she's going to shoot her. What was she, what was that child going through?
that was taken on October 7th in that rental car business. And you can see Ashlee Buzzard and Melodee there both wearing wigs. This was right before they took that cross-country trip. Investigators also believe that Ashlee swapped out wigs throughout the trip to intentionally avoid recognition during her travel. Throughout the investigation, detectives have confirmed the following: that Ashlee left California with Melodee on the 7th, driving a rented white 2024 Chevy Malibu that initially had a California tag on it. Detectives believe that Ashlee and Melodee traveled as far as Nebraska with a return route that included Kansas. Beginning on October 8th, the Malibu was seen with a New York license plate. Detectives believe this was a false plate deliberately switched out to avoid detection. Then on the 9th, Melodee was last seen on video surveillance between the Colorado-Utah border.
Now, I think it's just important to say that as far as the police are concerned, so far, they have not said to us that there was ever anybody else with them. I mean, my personal feeling, I still feel there could be somebody else involved. I don't mean involved in the murder, but some other reason maybe why Ashlee decided Melodee had to go. Was Melodee just in the way? But as far as the police have said so far, which, as we know, with the law enforcement, and why not? They're not we're not, they don't have to tell us everything. They're planning now the court case. But they have not said that there was anybody else involved. But maybe there was indirectly someone else involved. Someone who Ashlee was hoping for a relationship with, but they didn't, want a child involved. That has happened. But yeah, so nothing from the police so far about anybody else being involved.
So are detectives getting closer to finding Melodee? Let's
This was
talk
a
about
while
it. I'm going to bring in two of the best investigators I know. Retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer and private investigator Manuel Gomez. Both of you have been on this case since the news broke. Thank you so much for joining us with this update with the footage. So we saw the still photos for a while. Those had been circulating. And then last night there was a decision to show some video. Agent Coffindaffer, would you start us off with your thoughts this morning on the investigation?
Well, certainly when you look.
I don't know if I can listen to. I do follow her on Twitter. I don't mind her, but I'd just like to see the CCTV. Let's have a look.
She had to go through mountainous terrain, densely wooded forests. There's so many areas she could have dropped this innocent child off at. But what boggles me the most, Julie, is, again, like you and I have been saying, why isn't she arrested? This is a rock-solid case for child endangerment and a rock-solid...
So don't forget, this was a while ago now, so nobody could understand why she hadn't been arrested. But yeah, the police are waiting to put their ducks in a row. They did not know that Melodee was deceased, unfortunately. Then once she was found deceased, and the remains were confirmed to be Melodee. I think the police are just trying to do everything by the book because they know there's going to be a court case coming up. And this court case possibly involves the death penalty.
A case for child neglect. This mother has called the bluff of all law enforcement. She has stayed quiet, Julie, and she will not speak. The only way this woman's going to speak is when she's in an orange jumpsuit and she has no freedom. Then you will loosen her tongue when a judge says you're going to be in contempt of court if you don't speak.
The little girl smiling. Did you see her smiling then? Just disgusting, isn't she? Let's just fast forward it a bit more. What other pictures have we got? Let's see.
Travel.
What were your first thoughts when you saw this image?
I was totally numb and in shock. This is just so shocking to me, and that my granddaughter is dressed in a disguise. This is just so overwhelming.
Yeah. You don't take your children off on a trip in a disguise. Have you ever done that? No, I haven't ever done that. The only time you put your children in wigs and stuff like that, if you're taking them to a fancy dress party, etc. This woman is a piece of shit. So this is the grandma now.
Just so really scary.
You're saying that her father's family, his people,
and my family,
and your family are along those routes.
Utah.
Utah.
Yeah, Utah. When you start getting past Utah, coming back, that's when you're running into his friends. You need to tell them where the baby is. You need to tell them who's setting all these things up for you. I know you're not doing it.
According to investigators, the Malibu was driven by Ashlee Buzzard and traveled through these areas. Here's the map. This is on or about October the 9th. They went through Green River, Utah, Penguich, Utah, Northwest Arizona, Primm, Nevada, Rancho Cucamonga, California. And then when mom came home, she came home without Melodee and then would not answer any questions as to
They went a long way, didn't they? A long way round.
Where her daughter is. Now, based on grandma's emotional plea, we're wondering, should mom be the only person of interest here? As grandma talked about, there are other relatives in the area along the way. Should Melodee's mom be the only person investigators are focusing on? Jen, what do you say?
Well, I say that the mom should be the character they're focusing on. This is her plan. This is what she decided to do with Melodee. And thankfully, there's a GPS on that 2024 and keystroke.
Now, it's interesting that the grandma had said there were people, family members in Utah. I don't know. Well, let me know what you think in comments. Do you think anyone else is involved, or do you think it is this mother? Thing is, somebody has shot this sweet little girl twice in the back of the head. Somebody has done it, and the mother knew about it one way or another, even if she didn't do it. Of course she knew about it, because she went off on the road trip and she came back without her. So even if it wasn't her who actually shot her, which personally I think it was her, she knows. She knows all about it, doesn't she? Let's just fast forward a little bit, go back to that again. I mean, that's a long way.
As a way of distracting, throwing off law enforcement. That was the purpose of the wigs, going to these different locations so you didn't know which spot she might have dropped off at. But you got to remember two things, Julie, and that is Utah and Nebraska. And these are the two main locations she was at, have an infamous problem for sex trafficking. Okay, in 2015, they had to set up a sex trafficking task force just in Nebraska to deal with their problems.
Yeah, that did cross my mind. I thought that's where, to be honest, I thought this was going to go in the end. You know, that this horrible woman had set up her daughter, sold her daughter maybe, which is terrible as well in itself, but at least she'd still be alive and there's a chance she might be found. But it did cross my mind. And then why would she have shot her? Was she not able to make the trade? You know, what did Melodee kick up a fuss and so the person wouldn't take her? You know, and she got angry with her. You know, that we just don't know the motive, do we?
Again, these two locations are ideal. And unfortunately, every day we wait, every second that goes by, the chances of us finding her alive are going to be that much more smaller. To be honest with you, if she is sex trafficked, I guarantee she'll be dead in maybe 2 years, because that's usually the life expectancy of kids like this. Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong.
Right. No, I know you do, Manuel. I know you do. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very sad, isn't it, to think of life expectancy of these trafficked children, because she's 9 now. If they're trafficked to PDFs like Jeffrey Epstein or Andrew or any of those, they're not interested in them once they come to puberty, normally, are they? If people want children, you know, and don't want pubescent girls or boys or whatever, sometimes people, you know, so by the time she got to 13, you know, went, or whatever age she went into puberty, she would not be so lucrative to them. So, but having said that, she would have had a few more years than she had, but they wouldn't have been very nice years, would they? So, you know, but yeah, is that a possibility? That this BITCH took her daughter off to be trafficked, and then or to sell her, and then for one reason or another it didn't happen, so she got angry and shot her. possibility?
That was my initial thought. As soon as I heard that mom took her to Nebraska, that was just what came into my mind, that, oh my God, I hope that she wasn't sold. Jen Coffindaffer, what do you say about that potential theory?
I don't think that happened to her, but let me say why. I think this is a woman, at least according to all reports from family and from her own mother, that's very intricate. This is a woman with serious mental health issues. And I think the triggering of the financial problems she was having, she was more than $23,000 in debt, as well as the worry that law enforcement or CPS was going to come take Melodee, cause some sort of mental break, and she took off with that child. And I do agree with Manuel, though, as the minutes tick by, I think there's less and less chance we're going to find her alive.
I know, it's so awful. I hope they arrest this mom soon. Like, something's got to happen. I was in the camp of arrest her, weeks ago. I would have, not my case, but we are certainly.
Well, yeah, they can't arrest her. Julie Grant, she is a bit thingy, but you can't arrest her until you've got some evidence, of course. But anyway, she's been arrested now. I do think there's a possibility that she took her off to sell her, and then for whatever reason she couldn't. Maybe Melodee just went crack, said, no, hang on, I'm not doing that, or I'm not, and they want acquiescent children, don't they? They don't want children that are going to kick off and cause a fuss. Anyway, so I just wanted to give you the story so far. I will cover this as things come out, and certainly when it comes to the trial, I want to see this POS get her comeuppance. A mother that shoots her child in the back of the head twice and leaves her on the side of the road. How could you do that? What would you be thinking? Would you put the music on the way home, carried on with her road trip, and just defies belief, isn't it? Just like the Travis Decker case. So yeah, she's going in the Twonks Hall of Fame. But let me know what you think. As always, please let me know are you as outraged as me? I think there's not many people perhaps are not outraged by this. I mean, this poor little sweet, it's a little sweet face as well, and although sort of, what can I say? So I heard about this before Christmas. But I've got to say, I mentioned it. I think I did a community post about it, but I didn't want to talk about it over Christmas because, there were other things going on, but I said I would be talking about it on Boxing Day, and here I am talking about it on Boxing Day. So please say a prayer for this little girl, please. Melodee, I just feel you just did not deserve this. Well, nobody deserves it, but especially this beautiful little girl. Sorry, hang on. Didn't mean to put that one up. I wanted to put the candle up. This beautiful, innocent little girl betrayed by her own mother one way or another. I mean, it was a mother who took her there, so even if the mother didn't pull the trigger, a mother has got everything to do with this vicious, horrible murder. So, please join me in saying a prayer for this beautiful little girl. I've been praying for her all over Christmas, for her soul. Though I don't think, I don't think her soul needs any help. She's an innocent. She'll hopefully be cradled, in the arms of Jesus, or whatever you believe. To me, I believe in God and I believe in Jesus, etc. But you know what? You may believe in God just by another name, but it's all the same thing. This girl, she was an innocent. And, really, that I was going to say a really bad word then, that horrible mother of hers, she perhaps needs more prayers because she is going to hell. Hell. Whatever happens to her in this life, whatever happens with her court case, when she breathes her last breath, that will be Melodee who'll be looking at her. And that's when she'll have to account properly for what she's done. So anyway, take care. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Please pray for Melodee, and until I see you again, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.